What is
I think going back, he did mention it was like a polio vaccine. I don't know if he was
What?
kidding around, but that I don't know. Like he said, he needed a certain vaccine to go in. Maybe it was polio and it hits harder. I don't know. Still, just a fun factor. Still,
Yeah,
they
thank you for
go
that,
into
John.
the draft. The Snapfire comes out here for T1. It's one way to handle that Phoenix. Of course, for Motivate.Trust, having the Phoenix and the Puck means you've got the Dream Coil Egg combo, and it is very strong in the team fights. You can sustain your Timbersaw really well in the front line. With a Sunray, we have seen that really turn in fights. In the right hands, you get a good spot in. You don't need to worry about, say, a Nyx to break off the Sunray. You don't need to worry about even a Clockwork to hook shot in. All your only worry is Snapfire bursting your egg, and that's always going to be a constant issue. But I think outside the factor of the egg, the Phoenix, if he positions himself right, can still play really nicely here. So you've got great combinations coming out from both ends on T1 and Motivate.Trust. It's down to what they get for their safe lane. It's down to those big cores, 423 Savage and for Jackie. And I always find that core matchup really fascinating, right? Because Savage spent, he's Thai, and Jackie is Laotian, if I recall right, and they're actually fairly close. Like they run into each other in pubs a lot.
Yeah.
They kind of share a common hero pool, at least before. Terrorblade was one that they shared in common. Wraith King as well. And all of those are banned out.
A couple months ago as well, they were like ranked number 1 and 2 in the whole server. I think Jackie was one at the time. I mean, I think it may have switched though. Yeah, Jackie switched to 2 now, and I think Savage might be 1 at this point. So it's a bit of a back and forth between them. But I'm pretty sure they even played with each other at one stage, did they not? There was a time where Savage was at the Motivate.Trust headquarters. I remember seeing it. We were interviewing Fearless or something, and Savage was in the background. I can't remember what it was now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. My memory's a blur, but they've had a lot of interactions. I mean, they're all part of the MY gang. Or the My Pro Dota gang, which I don't know if they'll give a shout out. They got to remember to give their shout outs to My Pro Dota.
Yeah,
always his birthday.
It's a BTS, or rather Lupe Pro Series tradition now. You've got to give the shout out. It can't happen without the shout out. T1, final pickup. They're gonna go for the Void. One of the 23 Savage's more favored heroes, I would say. He does enjoy playing this quite a bit, I'd argue. But the Void, it's hard to. We've been saying it's weak. It's kind of like once it gets into the late game, it does feel quite strong. Not as strong as it used to be, but it still does feel quite detrimental for the opposing team once you get to the late stage of the game. It's just throughout the early to mid game, it doesn't feel good at all. But you do have some nice combinations. You've got the Snapfire Mortimer's Kisses. You've got the Viper to stand outside and get some damage out from the Chrono. So you do have the draft that can kind of enable the Void this game.
Yeah. Like the Chrono has a lot of value here. It's just down to how Savage chooses to play the Void. And as a farming hero, it's very slow. If Motivate.Trust finds something here to kind of outfarm the Void, it could be one solution. However, going back to the point of the Void, like you don't have great Void counters in Motivate.Trust. No swaps from Venge because Venge is a dead hero. No natural disarms, would say an Oracle with a save on False Promise as well. You're going to get full value here for T1 to get that done. No room for, I think one great way would have been a Brew, but you already have the Timbersaw. So you're going to need something that just farms faster than Void here on the pause one. You don't really want to play a slower pace. You just want to outfarm him when the Void just can't. Maelstrom is nice for the Void. It still feels really slow even if you get a fast Maelstrom timing. It's just not a very fast hero right now when the pace of the game is a lot quicker. And they go with the Dusa, which is a much faster farmer when you leave it alone. So they've got a good solution to the Void here. A big win condition on Motivate.Trust side. They've got the combination of their own with Egg Stone Gaze to kind of handle that. They will have to watch their positioning. If Savage is able to get a big 2-3 man Chrono, there's no counterplay for Motivate.Trust, especially if they catch out the Phoenix or the Dusa. Like their only counterplay is the Stone Gaze and the Egg. And if they can't get that used when the Chrono is expended, they're kind of stuck in a very awkward exchange there.
And they should have the damage, especially throughout the first, say, 20 to 30 minutes. You will have the damage to get through the mana pool of Jackie. Because you've got the Snapfire as well with the kisses. So when you can just line up every single kiss with the Chrono, it's not quite as difficult to get through the Medusa HP and mana pool. Thing is though, you go to that ultra late game, things start to look a little bit more concerning. You may not have the damage to really get through that whole mana pool, but you know, it's going to be a pretty back and forth series, I think, between these two. Obviously, again, close friends in both teams, but John, there's no friends in war. We talked about this. Who came out with the better draft?
It's hard to gauge. I think the drafts are very even in terms of what power spikes they'll hit by the 10, 15, 20-minute mark in terms of scaling into late. When it comes down to execution, it might be easier to run Motivate.Trust early on. They have lower cooldowns on the Egg and on the Dream Coil. For T1, as the game scales late, the Doom becomes more impactful. If you land it on the puck or to do so, the Chrono, there's no counterplay for Motivate.Trust outside of just getting Stone Gaze off first and having the Egg in a good spot. So I think the execution for Motivate.Trust in the first 20 minutes is easier. The issue is, if they don't get much in those first 20 minutes, T1, I think they pull ahead in a big way. Doom is going to be really farmed up because of the build-up with Midas, and it just leads to easier ramp-up for T1. So I'm even on draft. I think in terms of advantage, I'd slightly towards Motivate.Trust because it allows them to play a little bit quicker early on.
I want to see what the loot bet odds say here, John. We'll bring him up in just a moment. See what the betting scene is thinking. Very, very curious indeed. And it seems that we are going to have T1 as the favorites, but they're not super heavy favorites. It's $1.49 to $2.45. So it's still favorites, but not as much as you would have thought. Maybe that goes back to yesterday. They got 0-2'd by GXR, which I suppose most people wouldn't have expected. But it's still T1. Like, they are still a very strong team, obviously.
Yeah, and they've played in majors, they've played with European teams, with international teams. They've gotten that exposure. It's just down to them getting used to C-Dodo again, right? Like, it's a very different pace in this region compared to how other regions play, and it's always a bit of an issue adjusting back.
Oh, they've started. This is what happens when you've got friends on both teams. They just start with the voice lines. It's Masaros gonna be spotted out by Savage, but they're not gonna want to deal with the Timber right now. They'll leave him be. It's gonna be one of those games, John, where we can't even get a word in because everyone's just gonna be spamming voice lines.
I love staring at the banner from Motivate.Trust because they're all in the MY gang, so it's just a picture of my pro just staring at you. Oh God,
my pro don't. I just giving that look like you better perform. All that training I gave you guys. Don't embarrass me. Don't disgrace my name. No shout out to my pro though from either of these teams, which is a bit upsetting. But I suppose we got one last time around, so it's fine. We got one today, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, they don't want to overdo it. Still, do you see our mid lane matchup for now? Puck, played by Fearless, up against Carl on that Doom. And it's going to be a very stable lane. Like, you just farm up in the Doom, you use your Devour, clear out the creep wave, you maybe regen back with a Scorched Earth, apply some slight harassment. Puck does the same thing, stays at range, uses the Orb. Very static lane until those level 6s come out. Maybe you get a rune advantage as the Puck. You can jump out onto the water rune a bit quicker and have your supports deny off the other rune. Not a big factor for Doom as he has a lot of regen, so it's going to be a very boring lane mid until levels rack up.
Man, I love the SCA support pack voice lines. I truly believe SCA got the best voice lines. Like in terms of being as annoying as humanly possible, they got it right. I mean, they really knew what they were doing. Whitemon, top lane. Oh, he almost goes down. He does salve up. You were saying, John.
I would give the Vilamas D2 Hustlers throat singing the win. It always catches me off guard. Like it always just throws me for a loop when you're talking mid-weight and you just hear it. It's like I don't know what to do. I just kind of zone out.
I don't know. I think 496 really got the good voice lines out there. See what happens with the next DPC season if things change up a bit with the voice lines. We'll see if they get better or worse. If we even get new voice lines. So MTG, top lane, you've got Q there with Masaros. Whitemon again taking a lot of damage out. And again, this is one of Masaros' specials. He knows the Timber like the back of his hand. He's very dominant on this hero. You've got to be careful not to give him too good of a laning stage. But then again, with a Snapfire Void, it's hard to do anything against it.
Yeah, it's super passive coming out from T1. Early levels, you can kind of try to leverage your little Shredder minus armor, as you don't tend to have the reactive level 1. Well, Masteros has it now, so even if you get the full barrage off with that Snapfire, bonus armor is going to kick in, basically neutralizes. Savage has to watch himself here, though.
He does. Hex is out. They've got the chains, and Q will be the one to pick up the first blood. Savage going down as now Whitemon. He's not going to be safe either. Masteros, he's not going to dive the T1 because it is only a level 1 reactive armor, but he's got to still be careful, Whitemon. Turning around for that cookie at the last moment. Eventually, 23 Savage will make his way back into the top lane, and that does give us a little bit of time to talk about the final lane. John, the bot lane where you'll see Zephyr and Cuckoo. They're going to be against Set Zero and Jackie, and this should be arguably the most boring lane of all the lanes in this game. One, I doubt much action happens here.
I mean, you could try to run down with Zephyr once you have Curse of Avernus, get the slows off, get the damage off with Cuckoo. But you're likely not going to try to tempt fate against a Phoenix, especially if he just dives away. They do actually level the Curse, though, and they're going to try to run down Jackie a bit.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of damage with that poison, the poison attack. In fact, they've gotten through him. Jackie, he's gone. Set Zero, he will just TP right back to that T1 tower. No risk to be taken. And T1, they kind of return the favor. Their carry goes down. Jackie will also go down.
Yeah, it's the shortcoming of that Medusa early on. The mana shield is not great in level 1. You don't have much mana to begin with. You can't be aggressive with a Phoenix Medusa. It's much more passive for Motivate.Trust compared to T1. And as long as you allow Zephyr to run up like that and you comp too many hits on a poison attack, you always run at risk. So I think Motivate.Trust has to be much more cautious, as once the levels rack up even more for Cuckoo, that damage output's just going to kick in.
That it will. A lot of damage there with that Mystic Snake, but nothing to be too worried about if you're T1. Looking back in the mid lane, very, very even. They were just 25 and 5 each just a second ago. It will split up now, as both of them will also split up to go after the water runes. Never mind that though, because bot lane, Cuckoo now going to be in danger, but no, the Aphotic Shield, it's there from Zephyr, and in fact it's top lane where we'll find another kill. Whitemon is going to die, this time again to Masteros.
Yeah, you just can't sustain against the 1-1-1 build with that Earth Spike out. The control is great coming out from Q. Not much a Snap can do there. They are trying to buy space out for Savage to farm. He's not doing too bad, at the least keeping up almost with a farm on Jackie, but still not the ideal situation. We talked about flash farm timings. You kind of want to get maximum from your lane as a Void. You don't want to have to rely on clearing out jungle camps against Adusa. You're just not going to win that farm war.
No, you're not. He's Savage, he's already queued up the Maelstrom, and that's pretty stock standard, right? Like, nothing's changed here for the Faceless Void. He's going to buy the Maelstrom and try to be effective with that. Chain's actually off the mark there from Masteros. It went right through the gap of the tree line, as now Savage is going to be able to kill off Q. A nice little return trade there from 23 Savage. Can't believe that Chain's missed.
Yeah, it looked awkward. It looked like it should have landed, but just missing out. They could have killed the Snapfire first, went for the better trade. Instead, T1 gonna be feeling satisfied. Kill went to Savage, so that kind of compensates for the slower lane already. And one thing about this lane as well is if you overcommit, the time dilation will work against the Timbersaw. Like, you want to spam these spells, you get stalled out from using them, you don't get your damage out.
Bot lane, Zephyr. He's got the Aphotic Shield, but Hex is out from Q. Although Q, he might be diving too far here. Cuckoo is just going to start attacking with the poison attack. And Q, he's gone way too far. It's already hard enough to kill an Abaddon, let alone when he's got a Viper nearby, and Cuckoo just takes the easiest kill of his life.
Yeah, it's a nice pickup to get. Interestingly enough, Jackie's already left the lane. He's given up on trying to lane against the Viper. He's already sort of holding mid, clearing out the small camp. So they're just going to try to secure Jackie some early farm. You're at the point where Fearless can make these rotations happen.
Well, top lane though, 23 Savage, silences out, Fearless. It's going to be a very nice rotation, as he will commit the Dream Coil just in case the Time Walk was coming up. That's what you want to see there from Motivate.Trust. And well, Fearless, he had a rough first series. But it looks like this game one, at least, of the second series is looking pretty good for him.
Yeah, it's a lot better of a start. Even in the mid, he's getting his rotations out. For Carl, it's a lot slower. It's a Doom. It's looking for phase boots into Midas or Midas into phase. And he can go for the value point in Doom when he wants to. He's just kind of pocketing it, but he's just farming up. Again, for T1, it's a slower pace on their 2 cores. All the aggression's going to have to come out from the supports and the Viper. They do rotate Savage down bot now, so it looks like they're going to go for the tower shove on tier 1. Top lane's already being shoved in by Fearless Masuro, so it's straight 1-for-1 trade. No chrono up on Savage, so if they did want to defend, they could fight here.
Yeah, Viper strike there onto Masaros. It's going to be a substantial amount of damage. Cookie does not land though, and he's going to try for the TP play out. He might just make it too, and he does. Doom was also committed, by the way. Fearless, he's been doomed up, but it's not going to amount to a kill. So a lot wasted here from T1. Not only their time, but their abilities. Motivate.Trust, they kind of get away with murder.
Yeah, Fearless is still hanging around though, but he is just waiting for that rune spawn. Wants to wait for the 8-minute mark, try to fill up his bottle. And Carl and Zephyr should hold him back a bit.
Carl.
Oh.
The Dream Coil's out. He's the one who gets stunned as Q's going to move in.
Oh.
They break the coil, but they have the Aphotic Shield there. They all planned it. Zephyr, he's still going to die, but they've got a great trade in Fearless. Definitely a very effective kind of trade here from T1. Still Masaros will move forward onto Whitemon, and he will find a secondary support. So it is going to be the position 2 of Motivate going down for the pos 4 and 5 of T1. Still probably favorable for T1 in the end. Maybe not in terms of gold, but I think they're going to be... Oh, not if Carl dies like this. But he's going to be okay. Zephyr comes in, make sure he stays healed up. Aphotic Shield there as well. And now Zephyr's the one who has to be careful. That Cuckoo goes down to the bot lane apparently. In fact, top lane it was. Jackie ends up killing Cuckoo off, and now Zephyr. He TP's in. Just gets shredded by Masaros. And now Whitemon, I'd be careful around Masaros right now. He's on a bit of a tear.
Yeah, he's just buying so much space out. Just killing off the supports back to back. They had no backup for Cuckoo up top. Jackie gets a nice kill to pick up and start building up on that Dusa. They're just constantly cutting the waves and making that triangle awkward. They're keeping vision out, they're keeping information, and Masaros is surrounded though.
Yeah, he's gone too far now. Cuckoo is going to be there with the poison attacks. Masaros still has the chains out. He's trying to walk away. Cuckoo probably needs one more hit to get it done, and in fact, he is going to get it. Savage will give the vision over. Masaros, he does indeed go too far. And T1, they will immediately punish him. In the meantime, though, they almost lost their mid-tier 1. So, you got the Timber, but look how much damage has been applied to that mid-tier 1 tower.
Yeah, it's just one shove away from dropping. And they also buy out a ton of space for the Dusa to keep farming. When it comes down to it, Jackie's just so much more efficient in that jungle. Savage still playing in lane, still shoving bot. No one to harass him out, so at least that's some free space for the Void. You just have to watch how much you're willing to just give free farm to a Dusa here. The side of Motivate.Trust, already looking for that shove up top once more. Masuro shows up, gonna cop the tower, and they should be able to clean this one out this time. I don't see T1 committing for the defense. Not when their mid is in a more scary spot.
That they will. Motivate.Trust, nice, easy tower to take. No problem. Zephyr and Cuckoo gonna hang around that dire jungle, but they probably don't want to stick around too long now as Motivate might start to invade. Cuckoo, he still seems quite confident on that Viper to try and fight back against the Timber. I suppose that's fair. Looks like Motivate, they're gonna back off anyway.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
I mean, they've gotten the objective they want. They know that mid's one shove away, and Whitemon's just going to deny it off. So they take the gold away, but the map control is key here from Motivate.Trust. They're going to go for the smoke play. They've got Finger ready on Q, Dream Coil ready, Egg ready. They're ready to take these bigger engagements now.
They absolutely are. Motivate.Trust. They are going to be running to 3 heroes down at that bot lane, and 23 Savage, he does have the Chrono. You've got the Mortimer's Kisses as well on Whitemon, so if they get caught by a big Chrono, this could be a real problem. They're going to run right in, but Zephyr, he's broken the smoke of Q. Now Q not going to be able to get the initiation he wanted. Savage does back off, get some information. You might still want to jump in for a chrono, though. I mean, you've got the kisses to back him up. Savage. Oh. Yeah, he's going to pop it. Onto Q. Sunray's there. It's just not going to be enough. The kisses? No. In fact, it is enough. The Sunray heals him up, and now they'll turn around. They've got the Dream Coil there. Q dies, but he got the finger out before he did go down, and now the egg explodes onto Zephyr. And I guess they had to catch a bit more than just the Lion. They only got one, and apparently the Phoenix Sunray was more than enough heal to keep him alive.
Yeah, it's just... It scales really well. Level 2 value points there as well, so they can really hold off. They are still coming in for the defense. Doom is up.
Doom is up, but are you going to really be able to get much done with it? It doesn't look like it. I mean, even though you've got that net worth lead on the side of T1, Motivate, they're the ones setting the momentum in this game one. It does seem like T1, they're going to have to try and switch things up, try to get the tempo going their way. But this draft that they have, it's quite reliant on Cuckoo and Carl trying to set that momentum for the team. But it doesn't feel like they're quite ready yet. Their farm is kind of low on Cuckoo. Carl's having a great time, but it's still a Doom. He still needs that Blink Dagger up before he can really get involved. It seems like they're going to need just a bit more time.
Not too much time. Carl's just 50 gold off now. As long as he doesn't die in this next engagement, he should be in position to get that initiation for his team. Has to be careful though. Like, they're just toying with him. That Earth Spike and the damage coming out from Masteros at this point is obnoxiously high. So you kind of have to respect that. Like, when it comes down to it, again, the slower pace just feels a lot better for Motivate.Trust. Despite the Doom being number 1, it's only a less than 1k lead. Jackie still having free reign in the triangle, clearing out stacks much faster than we're seeing from Savage. And look at Motivate.Trust. They smoke in that Dire jungle, looking for more.
Yeah, absolutely. Zephyr gonna throw a bit of a cheeky miscoil there to Masteros. Just gives him a bit of a shiver. Masteros looking towards Savage. Carl, he jumps in for a stun, doesn't get the Doom off. He wanted it on the puck, but the silence was there, and now the coil's down. Egg is out as well. Cuckoo, he's gonna try and focus the egg, and they should be able to get it and do. Masteros will try for the chain TP away and does make it out. But it's still a 2-for-0 trade. It does go the way of T1.
That's what they needed to do with the Doom. And I think you feel pretty happy. Carl didn't have to pop the Doom to actually hammer in those kills. So it works in T1's favor in more ways than one. They can re-engage if they want to, getting the Doom off. They can maybe just time that with a Chrono. It is ready now on Savage, so he can get some damage off. He does have his Maelstrom up, so he has some damage of his own in the Chrono, and Motivate.Trust now has to be careful. They don't have the egg to play with in the next engagement. Dream Coil was popped, but that's a fairly low cooldown. Jackie will not want to show up. He just wants to sit in that jungle. He wants to keep farming. He does have a Yasha up. You still need more in the Dusa, so you're going to be stuck playing this 4v5 for a lot longer. I think for T1, all they need to do is just look for an opportunity to smoke and go again with Doom.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. T1, they're going to take their time for now. More farm to be had. Carl's still at the top of the net worth board. We've seen his Doom before. It just gets stronger and stronger as time goes on. It just gets scarier and scarier, quite frankly, the way he plays it. Motivate.Trust. Try and keep up this momentum. They'll move into the Dire jungle again. Looking at that mid lane, Coil is going to be committed onto Cuckoo. They should be able to get a nice easy Viper kill. I say easy, it does take them a bit of time, but eventually Masteros, he does get it done.
Yeah, they had to use an ult for that. Again, not the longest cooldown in Dream Coil, so you don't really lose too much here for Motivate.Trust. T1, they are kind of slowing their pace down despite having that blink, right? Like, they're just securing space for Savage to farm. I still feel like having that spell up and not using it is a loss of resources, but talking about Carl, he is still number 1 net worth, so I guess if you're still farming like this, you really don't mind. Aside of Motivate.Trust, their only real farm core is Jackie. So it's almost like a battle of the Doom versus the Medusa in terms of net worth. Everyone else is holding even, which is still good news for T1. Like, Savage isn't shut down. Despite dying in lane, he's still keeping up as well as he can. And that just means our Void shouldn't be completely shut out from his power spikes.
Well, they're going to back off now, Motivate. Q, he was... Oh, that's a nice stun out. They got the Doom, then they got a massive target. They got Fearless. Carl, I believe he did that completely blind. He didn't have... He may have had slight vision. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure he did that blind.
Yeah. It's the one Doom target you want to catch, right? It's always the puck. Managed to isolate Fearless and sets them up. Like, they know they've managed to build up a little bit more on T1's end. However, for Motivate.Trust, that does mean they know Doom's down. It's a long cooldown, more than 2 minutes where it's not going to be available. And I think T1 now can think about a smoke once Fearless is back up. Maybe they wait for the blink first before that point and just kind of relax a bit here. They're clumping around bot. Fingers ready, eggs ready. Carl?
Yeah, Icarus dives there, slow him down a little bit. Hex is going to land. Cookie going to try and help out there from White Mom, but they do land the Earth Spike, and they're going to get a very nice trade. So you got to kill onto Fearless, but then you lose Carl. He's top of the net worth board as well, so he's worth a lot more gold. Now Jackie, looks like he's ready to start moving into that bottom tier 1 tower and just find another objective.
Dire's bottom tower is
Yeah, I
under
mean,
attack.
he's got the Dragonlance all done, Manta Style done, even has the Grove Bow.
Are fortified.
Have to appreciate Ice Frog, again, giving you what you need when you need it.
Dire's
Yep.
bottom
And he can
tower
just start
is under
chipping away.
attack.
He's working
you,
on
Ice
his
Frog.
Scotty next. It's still set up to have that nice spike in gold. 9.7 up against Savage at 8.1. A nice 1.6k lead.
Dire's bottom
And I
tower
think that lead is just going to either hold steady or grow wider. Right? You're a Dusa. You're just more efficient. He is running up, though. Really aggressive.
Dire's
Yeah, Jackie, very, very confident. He'll pop the Stone Gaze. He does have the backup, but the mana pool is getting quite low still, though. Icarus dive in, and now a very nice
Oh.
egg out of the Stone Gaze. Savage! He got caught by it! He wanted to get a chrono off, but he got caught by the Stone Gaze, and now Zephyr's gonna drop as well. Oh, just a small mistake there, and
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
oh, just that's not what you want to see.
Fortified.
T1, they'll lose 3 for nothing. And we've said Jackie was moving up in a very cocky fashion, but it just didn't matter.
Dire's bottom
No.
tower is under attack.
His teammates were ready to back him up. They had the mobility to just jump forward to ensure that Jackie wouldn't be in any real trouble. And they find a tier 2 off the back of it. Unfortunately for Motivate.Trust, they can't quite take the outpost. It's very far out, but they get aggressive vision out, ward right behind the tier 2. I believe Whitemon did get an inkling as to where that ward was dropped, and they do get the D-ward. But they still clear out the camps, take away some gold, some resources from T1. T1, for their part, they should understand eggs down, fingers down. Dreamcoil is going to be back up in a bit. They still have Chrono. They still have Doom. They've got this BKB on Carl. I don't think you can sit around and just play this farming game when you have such big item spikes on T1. They need to get a Doom target off and just find a kill.
Carl, Zephyr, mid lane. There's going to be a quick pause now. This might give enough time for Motivate to think about their game plan here. You've got 2 heroes that could be considered out of position. T1, they have got the chrono up, so you've got to be careful of that, but you've also got Dreamcall Stonegaze back up. Jackie's not around, though, and they're not going to want to fight without him. In fact, both teams just turn right back the other way and just start running. Motivate, though, they do own the net worth lead by 1k now, and well, T1, you said it during the draft, John, that they have a Void. It farms a lot slower than, say, a Medusa, and as of right now, they have nowhere near enough damage to get through the Medusa.
Yeah. The one thing as well for T1, like, you are up there with Carl as well net worth. Question is a Doom an equal net worth of a Medusa as impactful as a Medusa? Outside of Doom usage, it doesn't feel like you have that same presence. They do smoke up now, though, trying to find that target with the Doom.
They're 23 Savage gonna move in.
Jackie.
Oh, they have found Jackie. Carl, he'll get the Doom in, and now the kisses are there. Savage, he doesn't want to pop the Chrono, and the silence is there now. They may have bought enough time for Jackie to run. Sunray out as well. They're really trying to keep him alive, but now the Chrono, it does catch all of them. Savage, he'll go right after the Phoenix, but no, he doesn't finish the kill off. The egg will be out. However, he did kill off Jackie, and that may be all that matters. The egg, what does it matter now that the carry is not up? Carl, he'll turn around onto Masteros, and they should be able to get the timber. Sunray, set 0, trying to heal up Masteros and give him a reset. But T1 are on the chase. Fearless, he'll be caught out by 23 Savage, the time dilation, making it so he can't get out. And that was a much better team fight for T1. They got that massive target they wanted. They got the Medusa. They even got the Pos too. They get Fearless Puck.
Yeah, it's down to Jackie's position. The rest of his team wasn't quite around him. They felt safe in the top jungle to farm. The smoke play finally paying off from T1, and to get the spell use they need. Chrono onto the Phoenix, stall out the egg. Really bought them enough time to get that damage off onto the Medusa. And Jackie has to be super cautious. Like he has to be aware of the Doom timing, and when T1's off the map, he needs to play it safe. Maybe have a support just stick next to him to prevent that from really happening every time.
Cuckoo. He's going to be fighting back out. Jackie had no way to cancel the TP. Q. Maybe spotted here by Whitemon, and is. Whitemon. Not going to be able to do much about it. Instead, they'll go up top lane. Doom is back up. Jackie again going to be targeted here from Carl, but it is going to be a double Doom situation. Lotus Orb was there, so Carl, he can't do much to help his team now. Masteros is going to hold them back as now a 3-man Dream Coil. Fearless, he'll lock him down, and Q is in, but the Earth Spike, it doesn't land. Carl, it's going to be fine. The Doom has worn off. But Motivate, they will continue pressuring that tier 2 top tower. Even without creeps, they don't mind. They'll keep hitting. Mortimer's kisses are out. They do get a cookie as well. Carl is there with the stun. Jackie, though, now with the Stone Gaze, is going to catch out the Doom. The Hex is there. They've got the damage, and they'll get the kill onto Cuckoo. He'll try to make a run. But Masteros is going to be on his tail. They still try to save Cuckoo, and they'll get him out eventually. But they cannot do the same for that tier 2 top tower. Motivate.Trust, they can start looking towards that Roshan pit very soon.
We do have good vision here from T1. Chrono is going to be back up for Savage. Could be a bit scary diving into the Roshan if they don't have the information here on Motivate.Trust. They did get at least one D-ward on that cliff ward by the pit. So they cut off one source of access, but the outpost is just taken back by T1 anyway. They've got the TP point ready. They might need to just keep farming up here on Jackie. He's very close to the Scotty. 200 gold away. That's the next spike for Ardusa, and I think once you have that, you really put a dent in sustain coming out from T1 with their Doom, with their Abaddon. Not as much durability coming up to the forefront with that Scotty up and running.
Oh, top lane, Cuckoo. He got away last time, but that was thanks to his teammates. This time they are not around. He's going to drop on the Viper. Masteros. He's going to find Zephyr. Borrow time is up, so Zephyr, he should be okay to walk out. But Masteros, it looks like he wants to try and force that borrow time. He won't be able to get it. But they'll take the outpost back on Motivate. They control the area around the Roshan pit. Motivate, they don't even want the Roshan. They want that T2 mid tower first.
Yeah. They're just playing really clean here on Motivate.Trust side. T1, and they've got Doom Chrono. They can actually fight in here if they want to. They just need to look for the angle. Savage is walking his way back up. He's still clearing out camp, so perhaps not feeling confident against what Jackie has, seeing that Scotty up. He is fairly tanky to burst here, although.
Oh, misses that stun. Lotus Orb was there anyway from Masteros. Chrono's down though. They do get the timber, but do they have the damage? They definitely do not. Masteros way too tanky. And under the guise of the egg, they don't want to fight. Maybe now, though, the egg is down. They'll get the Doom off. No, but the Lotus Sword was there. Carl's going to get doomed again. Jackie, he'll stand his ground on the Sun Ray. It'll heal him up, but now he's out of mana. Maybe they can get through the HP pool. The Savage does come back in. They'll get through Jackie. No, the Earth Spike. It does connect on 3. They are going to trade. They'll get a 3-for-1 trade. Q, he does save the day on the Lion. And Carl, he's going to try and run. He'll get out of there. But what an Earth Spike in from Q.
Oh, he just lined it up. He managed to stall out that entire fight. The Lotus Orb usage. I saw Carl hesitate to use the Doom, and he just figured it's fine if I get doomed up too. They need his stun though. They need that War Stomp. They rely on his War Stomp to kind of hammer in the control, because outside of that, what do they have? Snapfire Cookie's it. So they're kind of lacking in that control department compared to Motivate.Trust with the Dream Coil, with the Earth Spikes. It just leads to easier setups for Motivate.Trust to get their scores in. 4K lead now. They take the tier 2. Map is getting naked for T1. They don't have outer towers left. Jungle control is barely there. And Motivate.Trust need to start considering the Roshan before reaching into the high ground, but they've got themselves in a really good point where T1, they're 4K behind. Their Doom is still number 1 in net worth. That means everyone else is just really underfarmed right now. Savage, still stuck on just the Maelstrom, has 1 ultimate orb up, working towards the Scotty. But we've seen it a couple of times. He needs a Chrono to land onto that Phoenix as well. They need to stop that egg. If they don't, you can't fully commit for these fights.
There's Zephyr, gonna run right into Masaros. Borrow time immediately popped. Still Dream Coil is there. Fearless, he got 3 targets. But where's your follow-up? Jackie, he's not around the area yet, so Carl, he's going to jump in. Doom's not up, though. Mortimer's Kisses are there. Egg to be committed as well. Jackie now with the Stone Gaze. He's going to move on to Cuckoo and Carl. It looks like Cuckoo's going to be the target. Cookie away, Savage, no Chrono either. Cuckoo, he's a sitting duck. He will eventually drop as they try to find more. Fearless though, he gets caught, but not really. Q has the Hex up. He will find the Doom. Carl, he'll try to pop his BKB and try to make it out. He will back to the base. However, Masaros, he goes right back into the base. He wants to fight them in the tire base. As Whitemon, he gets caught by the Chakram. He'll die as well. Carl, he just can't land the stun. And now they have the Chrono, now they have the Doom, but it's all too late. The fight's over.
Oh man, that was really good positioning for Motivate.Trust. They were on the high ground when T1 popped the smoke. I don't know if Zephyr was in the range of smoke. If he was, they should have known it was immediately popped. And they still walked into the high ground, they got punished. They didn't quite wait for their spells to be off cooldown before that engagement. And Motivate.Trust manages to make it work again. They've got the Crystallis up on Jackie, Daedalus up next. His damage is going to skyrocket. And if you don't control the Dusa now, you're in for a world of hurt here.
Zephyr, for a time, gonna be expended again. Not too high of a cooldown anyway, it's not really a big deal, but looks like Motivate, they do have the option to rush Roshan if they want, or alternatively, they can go straight for the big boss. They can go after Master Cuckoo. Fearless is there with the silence and they just shred him. The Whirling Death and the Chakram is just so much damage. There's Whitemon, he's gonna try and get himself out. Carl, he'll be there to save with the stun. But it's a 7k net worth advantage now for Motivate.Trust. And T1, I mean, they're not out of the game yet, but it is looking like a very, very tough comeback to make.
It's all about good Dooms and good Chronos now. Savage has to land a Chrono onto 2. Ideally, that's Jackie plus Set 0. You have to catch that Phoenix and Medusa. Motivate.Trust finally make their way into that Roche pit. Roshan number 1, only the Aegis, but no information, no map control from T1 to contest. And have to deal with 2 lives on Jackie. I don't think they have enough damage for that. You only have Doom once, you only have Chrono once. You have to figure out what's the opportune moment to use that on the Dusa plus 1. It's a lot of pressure. The execution from T1 has to be perfect. They might have to even rely on Motivate.Trust to slip up a couple times here.
Oh, Savage. He's got to be careful, but they don't have the coil up. They're going to try onto Whitemon, and they do have the Yule Scepter. That'll cancel the TP. Whitemon, he might be dead. In fact, they're still going. They found Savage. Q again with the Earth Spike. Does get him, but it's not going to be enough time. He still did not have the Chrono up until this moment. They do have it off cooldown now. T1, they've just got to try and just push out these lanes, buy a bit more time for 23 Savage on this Faceless Void. For now, he just hasn't had enough opportunity to get his farm up. And that's the exact opposite for Jackie, who's really farmed up, and he's about to have that full Daedalus coming on the Courier.
It's just the difference with Dusa and Faceless Void. Like, you just can't keep up the farm war that way. They're forced to pop Fortify early. There wasn't really a creep wave for the tower split shot to clear out, so this next wave is going to be fairly secure for Jackie, and Daedalus up, she's just going to hammer away.
Tier 3 tower, no contest. Jackie will just take it.
Dire's middle tower has
I mean, he's kind of daring them to try to fight. They do jump in, stun out Carl, no Doom. He'll just leave it be for now. He's a bit wary of that Lotus Orb usage, though it wasn't there this time around.
under attack.
Hell, even if you commit the Doom, it's not going to be enough to actually stop him. Meanwhile, on the side, there's your Doom out, but again, it's going to be returned the other way. They'll commit the Chrono. Is it going to be enough, though? The reactive armor stacks, it's just way too high. They don't have the damage. With the Sun Ray out from set 0, it just heals him up too much. And now they're onto the bot lane of Rax. They leave the mid one alone. They didn't even finish it off. Cuckoo, he's going to BKB up, but Jackie will just man fight. Carl's in with the stun, but where's your control? Where's your damage? They've gone through the mana pool, but that's not going to be enough quite yet. The backlines, it's been caught out by Fearless, and now Jackie, he can get right to work onto Whitemon. They'll get rid of the Snapfire. They've got Carl down as well on that Doom. They do have buyback, but they won't commit quite yet. They'll just keep going onto Masaros. Try and find that perfect moment to get the buybacks out, but they'll leave it be for now.
Dire's bottom barracks has fallen.
So it looks like they are willing to let 2 lanes of Rax go. But it might even be a third if you're not careful. And they call it. They've had enough. They don't have the confidence they can make the comeback. And Motivate.Trust, they will take game 1 off of T1.
Radiant victory.
Yeah, they look really strong. This is the Motivate.Trust that we're used to seeing. T1, it looks like they still need to adapt to Southeast Asia. They go back to this Void. They go back to the Doom that worked for them in international tournaments. The pacing has felt a bit slow. Like, Carl had to go for the Midas. They were trying to hunt for those Doom targets early on. The Chronos from Savage just weren't lining up. And that's the thing with the Faceless Void. It relies on you and actually landing those Chronos to get the advantage with the hero. He's not a great farmer. He doesn't have the greatest damage output. He has some self-sustain with Time Walk, not enough to compensate for how much Motivate.Trust had in control. So we'll have to see what T1 plans for next. Motivate.Trust, they managed to get their big win condition going. They had a stronger early game, and it's off of that duo they start with. They get Timbersaw line. You can't give Masaro's Timbersaw away. It's just too much control, too much tempo for Motivate.Trust to play with.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are asking why T1's having a rough time. They're back in SEA. Of course they're having a tough time. I mean, this is why they came back to boot camp here and they didn't stay in EU, right? Right? You want the real competition. This is how you become the best. So we are going to head to a short 10-minute break, and right after that break, we are going to be back with Game 2 between Motivate.Trust and T1. We'll see you all again very soon.